Well, it has been a little bit since I've done a mock draft live. So I'm going to do one today. I have been drafting over the last month, which is the last time I went live. But it has been a while since I've been live doing a mock. I'm excited to get into one on Underdog today. Coming off a really nice nap this afternoon. I feel great. And I'm ready to get into some fantasy football, man. I also wanted to start out by talking about something in my rankings that I was noticing getting some pushback. So the good one I've been getting into lately is the Schnauzer 2. That's one I've really enjoyed. It's only a $3 buy-in with $100,000 to first place, $50 to second. Good money for good placings. But I've maxed out on that. You can only have 20, and I've reached my max. So we're going to go ahead and do a Best Ball Mania, which, of course, is the $25 buy-in where you can win $2 million to first and $1 million to second place and great prizes, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get into a 30-second one on this right here. But, yeah, before we get into the draft here, I did want to go over some issues that I saw people were having with the rankings of some of my players. And notably, I think the biggest one for me that I noticed was people were getting upset. It's probably not even the best word for it. People did not understand why I was ranking CeeDee Lamb particularly above Justin Jefferson, which to me, it makes a lot of sense. Dak, we know for a fact, is great with CeeDee Lamb. Number one wide receiver upside is what CeeDee Lamb can give us whenever, Dak is there. The only reason that he wasn't a top 5 wide receiver last year was because Dak missed the majority of the season. And even still, he was still great with the options that he had at quarterback. And Justin Jefferson obviously is great, regardless of the quarterback as well. But if you look back to the one season post Dak Prescott that wasn't very good, Justin Jefferson, if we go to Fantasy Pros, Justin Jefferson had a down season. The one season that Kirk Cousins was not there. It was 2023. And he also was injured too, but Justin Jefferson averaged about 16.8 fantasy points per game, so he was still really good. But point being is this, obviously I understand Justin Jefferson is a dominant fantasy football player, but I don't really trust this J.J. McCarthy thing is going to work out. I mean, the guy just did not throw more than 20 times a game ever, really, in college. That's a problem. So he's going into a Minnesota offense that's going to ask him to throw a bunch. I mean, that's kind of really what it comes down to. So, still like Justin Jefferson, he's still in my top 5, but not as in on him as I am on CeeDee this year, that's for sure. So make sure to go down there, drop a like of the video, subscribe to the channel as well to show your support. And I will add a link to Underdog if you do want to get into an Underdog draft. Like I said, huge prizes that you could freaking win. I won $19,000 last year playing Underdog, and I love doing it. So if you're in here tonight, we could talk about anything. I love the summertime. I've taken a couple different vacations, man. It's been pretty awesome. We went to Lake Tahoe just a couple of weeks ago, and that was awesome. So I live down here in Texas, man, so it gets pretty hot. It gets pretty hot down here in Texas, so it was so awesome to get away from that Texas heat for a little bit. It was awesome. Okay, so we are looking at the 107 right here. And then also today during the draft, I'm going to use the Roto Viz tool that I like to use. And if you're not familiar with it, I will explain it as I go through it. But essentially, the cool thing about this tool right out of the gate is that before you even start drafting, right down here is your basically percentage chance of making the playoffs. Right, so you have a 16.7% chance of making the playoffs before you even draft because there's only 12 teams, right? Semifinals advancement rate is 1.33%. finals advancement rate is 0.08%. So before you even draft, that's basically what your chances are of making the playoffs. So obviously our goal will be to try to get all of those numbers as high as possible through the first 5 rounds. But we will go through it once we kind of get a grip. I always like to let the players that are available dictate the draft strategy I use. So we'll see how this one goes. If Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs makes it to us, I'm going to pick Bijan or Gibbs at the 107. But if not, I will probably go ahead and take Puka. What are you going to do, Frank? So Frank goes Bijan. Let's see what Milk Truck does. I like that name, Milk Truck. That's great. All right, so these running backs are off the board. I'm going to go Puka here. So we're starting out with a wide receiver in round 1. So we're going to plug, if you go in to the Roto Viz tool, we're going to plug a wide receiver 1 in round 1 and see what our chances are. So obviously that shot it up. 18.6% chance of making the playoffs now. 1.3% chance, 1.37% chance of making the semis, and 0.09% chance of making the finals. So essentially that's the right direction we want to head in here, and we're going to try to make sure we're heading in the right direction with our second round pick as well, which I will admit sometimes is a little tricky, especially if Brock Bowers is on the board. Because what I've noticed is that historically, and basically what this does on Roto Viz is it takes like all historical data from 2021 to 2024 of how teams and underdog have advanced and performed in underdog drafts. Well, historically, going with a tight end 1 in round 2 has not done well, so that significantly lowers your chance of making the playoffs. But I'm a big Brock Bowers believer. I think it's a great, option to go with in the second round. So I can't guarantee I won't go with him here. So we've had a run of wide receivers so far. Still on the run of wide receivers. So it's looking more and more likely that I'll go with Brock Bowers because there's not a ton. Like, I'd go with London if he was available. I might go with Rashee Rice if he's available. London's off the board. Rashee Rice is available. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and go with Brock Bowers. Do another Bowers draft. I'm just big on him, man. I really am. Like, I really am big on Brock Bowers. It's just too much for me to pass up on. I think he's going to be really good this year. I think it's another year with a better quarterback locked in. He's not going to lose target volume. Like, I just can't see a world where he does. So, it just makes a ton of sense to me. So, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys once I plug in when we went tight end 1 in round 2. And you can see our playoff percentage chances went up 23.2%. Semis went up a little bit, 1.49%, but our final chances went down to 0.05%. So we're going to have to do some work to recover that finals advancement chance percentage. Because, again, it just historically has not worked out particularly well when you go with a tight end 1 in round 2. So I'm going to give you guys secret access. if you're live with me, if you watch this after the fact, you're going to get some secret access here to an Excel spreadsheet that I have basically put together over the last, I've been doing it for a year now. So it's all like a bunch of different like rounds 1 through 5 strategies and what their chances percentage wise are, so I don't forget them. So if we went with wide receiver then tight end, this is probably the most effective strategy right here. Wide receiver 1, tight end 1, wide receiver 2 in round 3, quarterback 1 in round 4, and wide receiver 3 in round 5. So that's what we're going to try to target here, just to kind of give you guys the best strategy if you're going to go with a tight end in round 1. So we're going to go wide receiver 2 here. And if JSN or even Devontae falls, I'm fine. But I'm not picking Tyreek. I'll pick Mike for Tyreek. Okay, I'll go with Devontae Adams. Of course, I have Puka. Now I'm second guessing. If I do this, then I'm going to obviously get Matt Stafford to go with the super stack here. And I don't really know how much I love the upside. But I'm going to go for it because I don't have a draft like this yet. And I want to mix it up to get a draft like this. So, again, let's plug it in. We went wide receiver 2 in round 3. So our finals chance is evened out. So playoff advancement rate is 23.2%, which is a good number. 1.79% chance of making the semis, very good number. And our finals percentage chance of making it is 0.07. So definitely better than when we were, but not great still. So let's see what happens here when we go quarterback. Hopefully Jalen Hurts will make it to us, because I have a feeling there's going to be a run on quarterbacks here in the next 8 picks. Josh Allen, everybody's still on the board, but I have a feeling we're going to get a run here. So Josh Allen kicks off the run at the 310. Lamar won't make it. Jaden probably won't make it. So hopefully Jalen Hurts makes it to me. Lamar's about to go, for sure. I can't see Lamar not going. I'll be honest, too. I have not taken a ton of Jaden Daniels because I'm a little bit lower on him, especially compared to Jalen Hurts. But maybe just to keep mixing it up, I might go Jaden Daniels here if he's available. Okay, so Lamar goes. I'll take Jaden to just mix things up. So here's what things look like through the first 4 rounds. Puka Nacua, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams setting me up for the Matt Stafford super stack later, and Jaden Daniels. So again, let's plug in quarterback 1 in round 4. So we're in good position right here. 22.2% chance of making the playoffs, 1.61% chance of making the semis, and a 0.09% chance of making the finals. So we're improving in the finals, which is ultimately what it's all about. So again, we're going to go with our wide receiver 3 right here in round 5, and then from there we're just going to plug in numbers to see what the best strategy will be moving forward. DK Metcalf goes off the board. Travis Hunter is still available. Travis Hunter, it's interesting. He is dropping right now in drafts, which I do find interesting. Usually, if I do this type of strategy, I try to get Zay or Jalen Waddle, and they both just went back to back. So I will not be getting either one of those guys. And I doubt Hunter or Sutton will make it back to me. So if that does not happen, I will likely end up going with either Jordan Addison, Chris Olave, or Debo. Doesn't feel right picking Debo this high, though. I think that's a wait around type of move right there. But obviously what we're going to do is we're going to go zero running back through the first 5 rounds. So Travis Hunter goes. I doubt Sutton's going to make it. To play the ADP game, I'm probably better off with going Addison or Olave. I'm not picking Calvin or I'm not picking Rome. It just doesn't feel like a good move. Sutton makes it. So I'm going to pick Sutton. So that's our first 5 right there. Puka, Brock, Bowers, Devontae Adams for the Matt Stafford Super Stack later, Jaden Daniels, and Cortland Sutton. First 5 rounds. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support. And then let's go ahead and plug in the number here. Wide receiver 3 in round 5. So we're in pretty good position. 22.4% chance of making the playoffs. 1.59% chance of making semis, and 0.11% chance of making the finals. So we are in much better position. And what you can see here, this is the really other unique tool about this, is the amount of teams over the years that have done this strategy. 1892 total teams. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go with 2 tight end format, because that has the higher chance of making the finals, where if you go 3 tight ends, you have a 0% chance of making the finals. As opposed to if you go 2 tight ends, you have a 0.14% chance of making the finals. So we're going to go 2 tight ends there. We're also going to go 2 quarterbacks, because again, it's the same exact thing with quarterbacks that it was with tight ends. You have no chance of making the finals with 3 quarterbacks, and 0.14% chance of making the finals with the 2 quarterback strategy. So that's what we're definitely going to do. And I will likely try to get 4 running backs, but I'm definitely going to have to start picking running backs here. So let's see who's available. Debo, Godwin, and Addison are all still available. I honestly might punt on running back again. I don't like the running backs right here. I'm not picking Monty. Not going to pick Judkins. Not going to pick Caleb Johnson. I'm going to try to see if DeAndre Swift will make it back to me at 79. I'm going to go with Debo here to get him with Jaden. I have so much of Debo Samuel, it's ridiculous. Nihal, what's going on today? Appreciate you joining. Where do you predict Josh Downs is going to be drafted closer to the season? I think a lot will hinge on how quickly ironed out the quarterback situation gets. Because to me, it's already ironed out. And I think there's still doubt in the fantasy community that Anthony Richardson will be the guy. Whereas for me personally, I think it's pretty certain that it will be Daniel Jones. Like, I feel pretty confident in that assessment. Now, I think that Daniel Jones is actually going to be a little bit better for Josh Downs than Anthony Richardson would be. So, for me personally, I'd rather see that. Like, that's the situation. That's the setup I'd rather see. So, it'll be interesting for sure. I don't see Josh Downs getting a ton higher in drafts. Like, I don't think that he's going to, like, all of a sudden shoot up to the wide receiver 32 out of nowhere. I just don't think that's going to happen because it's not like you've got, like, that big of it's not like you have that big of a disparity between the two quarterbacks, Richardson versus Jones. So, if anything, like, let's say that we get to August training camp, it's very clear that Daniel Jones is the starter to everybody. I would say, in all likelihood, like, he could probably hop up to, like, the wide receiver 40 range. So in redraft, like, he's still going to be a guy that's going to be, like, a late pick. In best ball, he'll still be, like, a mid-round pick. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Okay, so Swift, let's see if he can freaking make it. I'm very happy with DeAndre Swift as my running back 1 in round 7. That feels really comfortable. I'm pretty happy to do that. I'll be honest. So that's what we're looking at right now. Did you use this website last season? How accurate was it? And Ben P's question is, what's the website for roster exploration? Yeah, so I did use the website last season. And I will say, like, I won $19,000 playing Underdog last year. And I personally like that site a lot. Like, again, all this site does is it gives you the history of best ball drafts from 2021 to 2024 via Underdog and the success rates of roster builds. So it's a very valuable tool if used correctly. Now, I've also a lot of times said that you can't use this as, like, your Bible for drafting, right? Like, I don't believe in, like, using a system over using your gut. So, like, the reason I say that is because if you prefer to go with, you know, instead of Brock Bowers in the second round, if you prefer to go with Ladd McConkey, like, do it. Trust your gut. And you can you can let your gut dictate how you draft, and then you can just plug into the system how likely it is you'll make your playoffs. But it can also serve as kind of like a tool to use throughout your draft to kind of maximize each roster spot. So again, that's why I'm looking at, like, these the percentage chance of making the playoffs with running backs. Like, if you have 4 running backs on your team, your chances of making the playoffs is 21.1%, which is a good number. And your chance of making the finals is 1.75%. Like, that's a really, really effective type of strategy right there. So that's, like, in all likelihood, what I will try to target. But that is Roto Viz. The site is rotoviz.com. That does require a subscription, and I don't even advertise with them. They're not a sponsor of mine. They're getting free advertisement right now, so, you know, you're welcome to the guys at Roto Viz because I do really like the tool, and I definitely think it's worth the subscription for sure. Nihal says, yeah, I agree. Daniel Jones is for sure starting most of the season. All signs would point to that. I mean, I don't really want to go with Brian Robinson Jr. I'd rather go with Jordan Mason. I've drafted a ton of Jordan Mason, but I like him. Hoping Josh Downs won't fall to me, but I'm hoping he will. I just had to go running back there. I'm fine with taking Jaylen Warren only because he's in my unexpected league-winning running backs criteria. Tyron Tracy, same thing. I'm coming around to him more, I would say. Travis Etienne is not in that, but I do like him. And he is also gaining favor in drafts as well. So we'll see what happens. But that is the first 8 rounds right there. Puka Nacua, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford, Superstack, and hopeful. Jane Daniels, round 4. Cortland Sutton, round 5. Debo Samuel, round 6. DeAndre Swift in 7. Jordan Mason in round 8. So that's my first 2 running backs right there, back to back. Ben P says, also, thanks for all the videos. I used your advice to win my league last season. Appreciate that. Glad you won your league. Let's win another one this season, baby. Nihal says, Rasheed went early this draft. That's what I predict his ADP will be closer to the season as well. Yeah, it's like I said, like if you watch my wide receiver rankings video the other day, I was like, I said, like, can we just admit I'm right? Not meaning that obviously, like, he hasn't played any games. Like, I'm not saying that I'm right that he's going to be a stud this year. I believe he will be, but obviously it's not guaranteed. But what I was saying the whole time is, like, his ADP is going to rise. Because I've been keeping an eye on this, like, this case of his, and it's like he's not going to trial for it until, like, next year. 2026 is, like, that's when he's expected to go to trial. So it's like the NFL doesn't typically issue out punishment unless there's been, like, legal repercussions already been brought. So, like, I'm not here, like, as the moral police. Like, I am not the moral police here. Rashee Rice is a great pick. He is a great upside player. If he played all last year, he was a top 10 lock. So, I think it's this year. He looks really healthy. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is my guy. Why Swift over Pacheco? So, my thing on Swift is that I just have more excitement and more trust in the Bears offensive system that they're going to get with Ben Johnson. Like, Ben Johnson wants the pass to work off the run. That's what he did in Detroit for all those years with Jared Goff. Now, obviously, Caleb is a more athletic quarterback than Goff. So, theoretically, you could see, more passing from Caleb than you did with Goff. But the whole idea of the Ben Johnson system was, let's establish a strong run game. And listen, I'm not arguing that Chicago has, like, the same upside of running back as Detroit does. They obviously do not. And I have personally said over the years, like, even when it was unpopular to say, I have not liked DeAndre Swift very much. But I love this system. This system is excellent. I see lots of upside as a receiving back, and from an efficiency standpoint with DeAndre Swift this year, with the running system he's going to be walking into with Ben Johnson. With Pacheco, it's just a player that, like, I can't unsee what I saw from him at the end of last year. When he came back from that injury, he was not even close to the same player. And I'm not acting like it was a minor injury that he should have been better for, but he wasn't. Like, he looked totally different, and it looked like I couldn't trust the guy. So that's kind of my reasoning for it. Like, I trust Swift's running system more than I trust Pacheco being a better player. Like, Pacheco is already on a pass-first offense with Kansas City, which is obviously better than Chicago's, but it's just a upside thing, and I always shoot for upside in a best ball draft. I'm going to wait to go with my last running back. And I might try to get the upside and the spike week potential with Rashad Bateman here. That's what I'm going to do. Yep. And let me be clear, like, in a redraft type of format, I could easily see myself going with Pacheco over Swift, but in a best ball format where I'm trying to maximize upside at all costs, definitely DeAndre Swift. Ben P, is it only data from Best Ball Mania or all best ball drafts? I haven't seen, like, a specific, like, I haven't seen that specified on the site. My guess is that it's only Best Ball Mania drafts. But at the end of the day, like, that's the large chunk of best ball drafts on Underdog, because that's a like almost 700,000 person entry on a yearly basis, and it gets filled every year like that. Like all the other drafts on Underdog, like they're like capped maybe at like 200,000. A lot of them are like 15,000, 20,000, 18,000, right? So it's like all of them combined probably don't even touch what Best Ball Mania does alone. And the amount of teams that they've gotten from Best Ball Mania probably outweighs the amount of teams they've gotten from all the other tournaments. So it doesn't matter, but it has not been specified. Okay, so let's see. Tyjae Spears is a possibility here. I'm going to go with my last running back. So it's either going to be Tyjae, or I might just go ahead and leap and take Trey Benson. So I'm going to quickly evaluate my running back room. Swift I view as a long season-long option. Jordan Mason's boom or bust. If he's going to be used as much as I think he will be, I think he'll be effective all year. Tyron Tracy Jr. could be a tale of two halves type of player. I'm going to go with the upside late season with Trey Benson. I'm going to go with that late season pop with Trey. So that's it for running backs for me. I'm going to cross them off my board. Because remember, we're using the Roto Viz strategy here. And what it says is that it's most effective. Your finals advancement rate is most effective with 4 running backs. So that's what I'm going to use right here. And I'm also going to use 2 quarterbacks. So that's 6 total players if you add up with 4 running backs. And then 8 total players with 2 tight ends. So that's going to be 10 wide receivers. And it does not have data on that. My guess is that data would be positive because it matches up with everything else. So we're going to go 10 wide and 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. And we've got all of our running backs. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to share your support if you have not done so already. And again, if you do want to hop into an Underdog draft, there is a link that I dropped in the chat. There's also one in the description. You can use code FFN. They'll match your first deposit 50% up to $1,000 of bonus cash when you use code FFN. And you can hop in on one of these drafts, man. I think it's well worth it. Give yourself a shot, man. Nihal, do you watch any other sports? I'm an NFL, UFC, NBA, NHL fan in that order. Nice. You know, the thing with UFC, I do, every time I watch UFC, I like it. But it's not one of those sports that I seek out on my own. Does that make sense? Like, I always enjoy watching UFC if I'm in a group. Or if like, for example, like if I'm at a restaurant or a bar and they have UFC on like a Saturday night, I always enjoy it. But I don't ever seek it out on my own. Same thing with hockey. Like hockey, I feel the same way. I actually really enjoy watching hockey every time it's on. And a couple months ago when the USA and Canada hockey matches were getting like hyped up, I was really in on that. Like that was the only time in my life where I specifically tuned into hockey, and I enjoyed it. I'm gonna make this pick, and then I'll keep talking. Okay, I can wait another round probably to get Stafford. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie off my tight end position, and I'm gonna go with Mr. I guess I'll go with David Njoku. I don't have much of David Njoku, so that's either going to hit or that's going to really burst my bubble. My other sport is golf. I'm a big golf guy. So I play golf like once a week during the off season. I don't play golf at all during the regular season of fantasy. During football season, I don't get to play golf because I'm just too busy with football. Because I've also got a full-time job on top of this. So I just don't have the time to golf during the football season. But during the off-season, I'm a big golf guy. So, like, during the off-season, I watch a lot of golf. I love, obviously, the Masters are great. But every major I'm in. Like, every single major, I love watching golf. For me, it's just, like, it's funny. Like when I was growing up, golf was never really my thing. It was like pretty slow, and I just didn't like it. But definitely as I've gotten older, I love golf. Like I love playing golf. I love watching golf. I just have an appreciation for golf. My dad always wanted me to golf. Finally started golfing with him when COVID hit, and there was like nothing else to do. So like we just played tons of golf. So yeah, I love golf. That's my second sport behind football, and it's good because they don't compete with each other. Like football is easily my number one. I devote all my time to it when it's football season, and when it's off season, I get to take a breather and go hit some golf balls and watch some golf. Like it's pretty great. But yeah, I will say, like, I definitely really like UFC and hockey, both of those when it's on. I'm not a basketball guy really though. Like I just don't like I used to really like the NBA. They turned me off a couple years ago. And I really haven't watched them since. So yeah, that's my sports breakdown right there for you. Scott White asks, is this best ball? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is best ball. Which I think it's honestly a great way for new fantasy football players to get in on because you don't have to remember to set your lineup. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take Stafford. Tie off the quarterback position. Rest of the way, it's wide receivers, baby. So quick update on the team. Puka Nacua, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams for the super stack, and I was able to get Matt Stafford just now, so I have the Rams super stack. Jaden Daniels is my quarterback one, though, so I'm really comfy. Excuse me. Cortland Sutton, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Mason, round 8. Tyrone Tracy Jr., round 9. Rashad Bateman, Trey Benson, David Njoku, and Matt Stafford. So like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support. Nihal, wish I drafted more when he was going in the 3rd. I was still overweight Rasheed early. I just wish I did more drafts. I think, it's really interesting that you say that because what I've noticed over the last year, especially last year, I think the winner in Best Ball Mania last year was like a team that was drafted in May. And, a lot of times, it's a risk-reward thing, Like, drafting a team in May, you don't have all the information. Like OTAs still need to happen. Minicamp still needs to happen. Training camp. Injuries are going to happen during the preseason era. Like, all that stuff will come into play. But at the same time, if it's worth the risk because you can get so many values. Like, Rashee Rice was great value during that time. Travis Etienne has been shooting up draft boards. Like, there's been so many guys that have been shooting up draft boards that I really like that you could get for so much cheaper. Like, DeAndre Swift before the draft was so cheap on Underdog. Pre-draft best ball, Underdog, you could get DeAndre Swift in, round 9. Like, it was crazy, the value that he was going at. He was, the running back 38. A lot of things change over time. So, yeah, I do think it's I think it's advisable to get into a draft early. At least one. So right here, I'm going to try to target Pat Bryant. I might not actually because I already have Sutton. I don't want two sets of wide receivers on the same team. So I'm going to go with Jalen Knoll, who I've been big on for a while. Tiki, will you do quarterback rankings soon? Yeah, quarterback rankings will be coming soon. In all likelihood, next week. Unruly Drip, what turned you off about the NBA? My thing with basketball is that, like, so I like to watch college basketball whenever the, like, March Madness is on. And really one of the things I love about March Madness and college basketball in particular is, number one, I will admit this does factor into it. Like, I went to Texas Tech. So Texas Tech, like, we have not had a good football team in forever. Like, even when we had Mahomes, like, we still couldn't win more than, like, 7 or 8 games. I mean, that's like how bad our football department has been for years. But the one good thing that we've had for a long time is basketball. So I've naturally always liked college basketball. And the reason I like it over the NBA, and the NBA's turned me off over the years, is because I just feel like the NBA became so, like, the players didn't care. I sense that so heavily from the players. And that's an argument, like, that a lot of people make. I think a lot of people have been turned off over the years because the players just don't seem to care. Like, there's so much load management nowadays. And I understand, like, it's an 82-game season, and you kind of have to take a break a little bit. But my thing is, like, okay, I think about, like, how much these NBA tickets are costing people. And, like, this one guy theoretically, like, brings his kid to a game, right? Let me make this pick. I will go with Alec Pierce. I think he has upside, especially if it's Anthony Richardson. But I think about, like, theoretically, like, let's think of a hypothetical situation just for fun, right? A dad goes to a game with his kid because he loves LeBron James, right? LeBron James ends up sitting out that night, and not because he's injured, but because it's load management. It's like, dude, like, it's just so annoying. And I don't feel like that used to be a problem. I used to love watching the NBA when it was who was the previous commissioner for the NBA? Was David Stern? Is that his name? Something like that. I think it was David Stern. Like, under David Stern, and I'm from Texas. I'm from the San Antonio area, so I used to love watching the Spurs. Yeah, I used to love it. And it wasn't a problem back then. Like, I don't remember Tim Duncan ever sitting out for load management. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Steve Nash. Like, I don't remember any of these players ever doing that. So I feel like it just got really money driven. And listen, I understand. Like, it's a business. I get it. But it just turned me off in a big, big way. So that's why I like college basketball, especially March Madness. But I have no interest in the NBA because I truly don't feel like the players really care. So that's a huge reason they turned me off. Max Wallace, speaking straight facts, bro, that's how the NBA lost me. Yeah, I mean, it's just... I also was like when I was growing up too, football was always my number one. I played basketball sometimes. I was never good at it though. Like, I was always a much better football player than I was a basketball player. I grew up in a football household. So it was also just really easy for me to, like, just kind of disconnect from basketball, I guess. Because the minute I felt like the players weren't into it, I was like, you know what? Like, why do I even watch this anymore? Conrad Larson says, I personally don't think Best Ball Mania is worth doing at this point. We've already lost a ton of value. Rasheed Rice was drafted by many teams in the 50s. I think it's a valid point, but at the same time, like, you still can get, like, lots of money from drafting this time of the year. Like, one of my team last year that won $15,000 on the Rottweiler when I placed 4th place, I drafted that team in, like, late July. Like, you can still win big money. So that's my thing. Is like, yeah, it's definitely still worth it to me. Because you could still get a lot of value. So this is where the part of the draft where I just go ahead and I throw ADP out the window. I'm not going with Thielen, not going with Keenan, not going with De'Ami Brown, no Calvin Austin. I will go ahead and take Jalen Coker. I don't know why I like taking him so much. But after the draft, I will go through my most drafted players with you guys. Jalen Coker will be high on that list. and I will explain it. But no, my thing with Best Ball Mania is like it's such a competitive pool, but obviously the upside is humongous. If you win huge. You win enormous. But I will go over it in a video closer to August. I will break down how many drafts I entered last year, how much money I spent getting into drafts, and I will break down how I won and how much I won. And again, one of the teams that got fourth in a tournament on the Rottweiler gave me $15,000, and I drafted that team in like late July. So like there's still tons of value to draft at this time of the year. It's still very early. I'm just kind of curious since we are on the topic of it earlier. Who here likes does anyone here like golf? Cuz I definitely know that like a lot of football fans, their off-season sport is the NBA. For me, it's the complete opposite. I like golf. So I'm kind of curious to know if there's any golfers that are watching the stream right now. Mr. Magic, what's going on tonight? Good to see you in here. I might go with Tyler Lockett. I've got a lot of him as well. I'm going to go with Lockett. Dante Thornton shooting up drafts right now because reports are that Jack Betch is taking a backseat to him. I don't think that'll last. Gonna star Jalen Royals. Gonna star Devon Vele. Gonna star Keishawn Butte. And I'm gonna star Luke McCaffrey. Max Wallace says, I love golf. Sweet, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, when we were in Lake Tahoe a couple weeks ago, we went to the Edgewood course, which, if you don't know, those of you who do like golf, Edgewood is where the Pro-Am is played every year. So, like, when you see Mahomes golfing, Josh Allen, Steph Curry golfing, like, they all go to Edgewood at the resort and golf there. That course is freaking beautiful, dude. It's like right on the water. The number 17 hole, it's a par 3. It's like from the tees we were playing at, it was like a 150-yard shot, but we were playing the whites. So I would imagine from the tips, it's probably like a closer to a 200-yard shot, but I made the green and I was like so happy. It was awesome. So yeah, I love golf as well. Mr. Magic says, who are your favorite targets at each position in redraft full PPR? You know, it's interesting. I get the question a lot of like, you know, who do you prefer in redraft versus like best ball? A lot of it's similar, man. Like, I'll go over my team here in a second after I make my last pick, and I'll explain to you like who I like in both formats. Like, but there's a lot of crossover. Like, for me, it's all about upside. That's how I win in fantasy is I always go for upside. I will go with Jalen Royals just to mix it up a little bit. I've got a bunch of Vele. So that's my team right there. Puka Nacua, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams with the Matt Stafford super stack. Jaden Daniels as my quarterback 1. Cortland Sutton, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Mason, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Rashad Bateman, Trey Benson, David Njoku, Matt Stafford, Jalen Knoll, Alec Pierce, Jalen Coker, Tyler Lockett, and Jalen Royals. So to that question from Mr. Magic, Like, everybody on this list, with like maybe the exception of DeAndre Swift, are like all players I would target in a redraft. Of course, when we get down in like round 12/13, things would change. But I think that's the biggest difference that people need to remember about best ball. Like for me, and I think if you're playing it smart, your best ball versus redraft builds should be pretty similar. The big difference is that in redraft, your most redraft leagues are not going 18 rounds deep. Most redraft leagues are going 16 or 15 rounds deep. And you're going to have to draft a kicker and a defense on top of that. So you won't have the depth of getting guys like Jalen Noel, Alec Pierce, like anybody below like the Matt Stafford range. Like you're not going to be drafting them in a redraft league. You could pick these guys up off the waiver wire. So that should change your strategy a little bit. And then obviously, like when you're going into a redraft, most of the time these redraft leagues are 2 wide receiver and 1 or 2 flexes, so that basically evens out the value of wide receivers and running backs, whereas on Underdog, you're going 3 wide receivers. So the value of wide receivers are more expensive. So like in my redraft leagues, I have not done any redraft mock drafts yet. I have not done any redraft drafts yet. So I would imagine that I would be going with 2 running backs within the first 5 rounds. I would picture myself doing that. And I did not do that today. I didn't go with 1 running back within the first round here. But that is something that will be definitely different, I would say. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into my most drafted players on Underdog so far. So I am in 80 total NFL season leagues right now. That's how many teams I have during the NFL season. And I have 12 pre-draft best ball teams, but you actually don't get to count the pre-draft best ball when I go through roster exposure. So we're going to go through exposure right here. So right now it's logging 78 teams. I'm going to give it a second, see if I can refresh it. Okay, let's try to refresh it. Okay, it's got all 80 teams. So I'll go through my top 6-ish, 7-ish most drafted players. Number 1 right now is Trey Benson. I've drafted the crap out of Trey Benson because I love Trey Benson as a player. Like, I think that there was a narrative, especially early in the offseason, I think it's still kind of persisting right now, that Trey Benson was a bad player. And really, if you split him up, like, he found it the second half of the season. He became a much more efficient runner. He just didn't get as much volume. Like, he got maybe like a touch more per game. But for those of you who do know, I have gone through unexpected league-winning running backs, and that's what led me to Chuba Hubbard last year, and Trey Benson fits that criteria. So I've taken a ton of him because his price is really low at the 139 ADP. Roschon Johnson is also a running back I really like. I explained it a little bit earlier when I was discussing DeAndre Swift. I love the Chicago backfield because of Ben Johnson. I think Roschon Johnson will be, at least Ben Johnson will try to use him as his version of Jamal Williams a couple years ago and David Montgomery the last several years. And I think Roschon Johnson will be a good, effective red zone back. If you actually look at Roschon Johnson's effectiveness around the end zone, it's like ridiculously high. He's a good red zone back, and I think Ben Johnson will utilize that. So at his price, I love him. Jalen Coker. So he's the outlier here. I think a lot of people probably wonder why I take Jalen Coker so much. 31 total shares of the guy out of 80 teams. I've got a lot of Jalen Coker because of my belief of the Carolina pass-catching game. So last year they drafted Xavier Legette. I thought he was a boomer bust player, and I think he's going to be a bust because he did not show well in his rookie season. I think that was an indication that he will be a bust. So I don't expect much from him. And I don't think the Panthers do either because they went out and drafted Ted McMillan in the first. I was not a big Ted McMillan guy either. So let's say that both of those two flame out. Right now, Adam Thielen shows as the other third wide receiver. That dude is in his mid-30s and is always injured. So Jalen Coker, if you actually look at last year, especially at the end of the season, was the most effective receiver. So if I can get him at a wide receiver 82 price point, which is where he's going right now, and he could be their wide receiver 1 potentially, I will take that path all day. Travis Etienne, my 4th most drafted player, 30 shares of him total. I was drafting him before it was cool. And I will say it like that because, again, Travis Etienne has risen up from like the running back 40 to the running back 35 within the span of like the last 2 weeks. People are getting in on Travis Etienne. I've always been in on him because the price has always been really low for the upside he could give you. The problem with last year is that he broke a lot of people's hearts because he was coming off the running back 3 finish and was being drafted in like the 3rd round. I didn't want him last year. I want him this year because I see a lot of upside with Liam Cohen as his coach. Josh Allen, I love taking Josh Allen for the 2nd year straight, 29 shares of him, because he's my primary target if I'm going with a quarterback 1 in round 3. That's typically how I do things. I always go with Josh Allen, and if he's on the board, I take Lamar, but I prefer Josh Allen because I think Josh Allen's price at the 3rd round, the back of the 3rd round, is very, very easy. I don't think that's a high pick. That's basically around where he's being valued last year. I love it. Jalen Waddle, 28 shares of him, wide receiver 31, has basically stayed around this range all offseason. He's risen up a couple spots. I've stated a lot this offseason. I don't like Tyreek Hill. I think he will end up being a bad pick in fantasy. So Jalen Waddle, kind of by default, will be their wide receiver 1 because there's just a lot of research that I've gone through with Tyreek. And if you want to see more of that, I would suggest going back to a couple of videos ago where I went through the wrong wide receivers that people were drafting. I've been discussing Tyreek a lot. And I'll end it with Deebo Samuel. 28 shares of Deebo. Again, it's all price related. Wide receiver 39. For me, I've seen a lot of people in the community, they're out on him. And I think that's acceptable because of what he showed last year. It was terrible. But where I like him is he's on a new team, getting a breath of fresh air with a new offense, a really creative offensive mind with Cliff Kingsbury, who will use him how he should use him, and he's looking for a contract this year. Was it injury last year? Was it pneumonia related because he did have pneumonia? Or was it that he was older? It's a gamble in the biggest way, but I think it's a gamble. If it pays off really big. And he's cheap enough for me to take the shot on him. That's why I've had him in 28 total leagues. But that's going to do it today, guys. I appreciate y'all being in here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on your way out if you have not done so already. And I will see you guys next week, so enjoy your weekend. Peace out, guys.